Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. We are starting a back to basic series. So this is going to be episode 1 of your back to basics, and we're focusing on being a good notary first, because everyone wants to make money, but not everybody is like learning and focusing on the fundamentals of being a notary, and that's super important. There's just so many silly mistakes that I see happening. If you're in like notary groups, you probably know what I'm talking about. And honestly, like, some of those mistakes really shouldn't be happening, because again, they're like basic notary things, and we want to make sure that we have all of those things covered before we're going out there in these streets. We're not just notarizing documents. I saw a comment recently that somebody was just like, relax, you're just notarizing paper, like who cares? No, I've seen clients cry because things were done wrong. They were set back, right? When it comes to like real estate, your mistakes can cause people to pay additional fees. Ugh, right? Like, that's really important. You're not just notarizing this random, which sometimes you do get those kind of requests, right? Like a random document that your leasing office needs, and that someone might not deem that as super important, but that's not the type of documents that we're handling day to day, right? We're handling business resolutions of the boards, we're handling real estate documents, high value documents we tend to be handling, and those should be taken seriously, right? So that's what we're going to cover. We're going to start with, again, back to the basics, and this video is about verifying your signer. All right, so why identification matters, and that's because your entire job, right, as a notary is built on making sure that the signer is who they say they are, right, and that they understand what they're signing. So, who are you? Are you John Smith? I hope you are John Smith. So you're going to take that ID, right? Because if that part is wrong, if the person in front of you is not actually John Smith, that document is invalid. You didn't do your job correctly by identifying the client and making sure that that is John Smith, right? So we're here to protect the public, not the signer, not the title company, not the real estate agent. You are here to protect the integrity of the document, and that starts with the ID. Okay? So you want to check the ID. I have, pause real quick, a tool that I use to help, right? When I ask for an ID, at least when it says, oh my god, don't tell me. Okay, no, I did it. At least when it's a state ID, I have my little, did I even take it out? I left it in the bag. So you're looking for a government issued ID, please make sure to check your state handbook. In the state of New Jersey, it's going to be your government issued ID, non-expired, up to 3 years for the state of New Jersey. So I can take an expired ID as long as it's not over 3 years old. The photo matches the person in front of you, the name matches the name on the document, and the ID hasn't been tampered with. So you're going to look at all of those things, and this is my favorite. I use this little, like, I'm a bouncer, this little blue light situation to check the ID, because in some states, I mainly see Jersey IDs, they have the little holographic things that can be seen by the blue light. So I check those things. I make sure that their face matches the face on the ID. And I look for identifying features, because sometimes you'll see people, their pictures are old. And they might have like lost weight, gained weight, have facial hair, maybe their hair color is different, so on and so forth. So you really have to like look at that person, and I make sure to hold up the ID. When I get the ID, I make sure to hold it up, to them, look at it, and then do my thing and enter that information into my journal. So now my favorite thing to say, if the ID doesn't fit, you must acquit. You must leave the signing. And I actually had this happen to me this past week. I had a closing. I went in. got the ID, started writing the info, but then when I looked at the name, I was like, that's not the name on the documents, because I prepped the documents before. Definitely wasn't the name on the documents. And even when I called the signer and said her name, she was like, yeah, but it must have been weird because she changed her name, right? She changed her name, so when I called her by her original name, she sounded confused, but obviously she was like, yeah, like me. I tried to see if she had like a passport, some sort of other like official identification, provided, government issued identification. She did not have anything that had the old name, so we couldn't proceed with the signing. She tried, can I give you, nope, you can't give me your credit card. I need a picture ID. And she didn't have any picture ID with her old name. So those documents had to be redrawn. I had to adjourn the signing, and that signing didn't happen because the name did not match. Right? If the name doesn't match, the photo doesn't match, the signer looks sketch, just walk away, refuse a signing. You can totally it's within your right to do that as a notary. So some real life notary mistakes that I've seen in the field, or I've seen on Facebook groups, things like that. These are some real life things that I've seen that, and this is something that has happened, not to me, like not that I did it, but I contracted a notary, and that notary stamped a document even though the name on the document was nowhere near the same. At least like my client, like she had the same last name, and she kind of like cut off her name. Like her name was like 2 syllables, and so she used one part of her name and then used the first part and changed it to like a middle initial. It was weird. It lined up, but again, it didn't match. And then in this scenario, it didn't match at all. Like it wasn't even close. Like the last name wasn't the same, the first name wasn't the same. It was a completely like different thing. That signer still signed that document, and that was a huge red flag, yet they still did that anyway, which I thought was insane. So don't do that. Don't use expired ID unless your state allows, and then it also still has to be within that time frame, because Jersey, it's 3 years that you can still use an expired ID. As long as within that 3-year period, you can still use it. If your state has a similar law, then please follow that law. If it does not and it can't be expired at all, then you can't take that ID. They need to give you something else. So no expired passports. And then people show you like a picture on their phone. That's a no. You need to examine the physical ID. Okay? This is where being a good notary matters, right? So you want to make sure that you are not doing things like that. Like that, I felt sorry for myself. I felt sorry for the both of us. She looked like she was, chilling. She came in her house shoes, brought down her water bottle, and we both had to sit there for like 30 minutes for someone from title to like pick up, to let them know the reason why I had to adjourn the signing. Aside from that, like, I didn't feel bad. I did my job. I'm being a good notary. Your ID doesn't match. We can't proceed with this. Like, they're going to have to fix the documents and call it a day, right? So don't feel bad for saying that you can't do it. And yeah, again, it sucks because you are getting paid less that day. But again, it's your job. That is your number one job, is to make sure that the person who is signing that document is who they say they are. All right. So we're not going to use nicknames, none of that. Like, we need to make sure that it matches. Okay. So make sure we're doing that, guys. And like I said, you don't want to feel bad, but here are some ways that you don't have to feel bad. And you're just going to let them know that your state, right, whatever your state laws are, like if you want to have your journal, not your journal, your primer or your handbook. I used to have like a book version of it. Now it's like I have the digital download, but I always carried the book. And if I needed to refer to a page that show you by law, like I can't do this, I will gladly like whip it out and show you, which I can still do with the digital version, right? So you can just let them know, hey, my state law requires proper ID for every single notarization. Love to help you, but I can't, right? Like, it's professional, it's non-negotiable. No, like, you're gonna have to do this again. I would be happy to come out and help you again. Not a problem. We just can't do this today. We need to get the proper identification, or someone needs to do the appropriate name change, FKA, AKA, whatever KAs need to happen. Someone needs to adjust the documents. I just can't do that, and that's it. You adjourn. That lady wasn't upset. Her husband was upset because he was in a different location. But again, not my problem. Like, you need to take that up with title, whoever like prepped the documents, because her name was incorrect. Not my problem. All right. And it's not, don't feel like you're being difficult. You're being compliant, you're being ethical, and you're being professional, and you're protecting your commission, because there's no reason why you should risk losing your commission for a few $100. Like, it's not worth that. It's not worth you getting a crazy fine. It's not worth you dealing with potential jail time for a few $100, or if you're doing something that you're charging less for, like $50. Imagine like going to jail for because you did something that someone paid you $50 for. That's absurd. Absolutely not. Never. So yeah, make sure that you did this to get money. You got your commission to get money. You're supposed to be, as notaries, we're looked at as ethical people. So you want to keep that reputation, right? A good notary earns trust, and trust earns money. Like, no one wants to work with a notary who's going to do ridiculous things like sign a person's name that didn't match. I don't care what that person said to you. Like, the person told me, oh, I changed my name. Was I supposed to just accept that name? Yes, it's similar, but it's not the one that's on the paper. I can't do this. I cannot do this. The last name was the same. Part of the name was the same on the ID, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough, and we had to adjourn. Again, I don't care now that is delayed, because I did my job in an ethical way. If someone else would have signed it, that's insane, and you're putting your job at risk. That could possibly come back to like bite you in the butt. We don't want that around here. So make sure that you're not doing that. Again, it's not you being difficult. Like, you just have to stand on business, and that's something that you cannot and you will not do. All right. So that is basically it. Sorry, y'all. That is the money phone. But that's basically it on identifying your signer. Make sure that you're looking at non-expired, unless your state allows, government issued identification. Make sure the names match, the pictures match, and if you want to have that extra layer, I'm having like this little UV thing. I love using this now, because just in case you have like a really good fraudster, right, where their names, everything like matches, but it doesn't have the holographic situations. I think that's a good tool I've been recently using. Yeah, so those are the things. Make sure the IDs match, the names match. If the ID doesn't fit, you must acquit. You gotta leave. It is okay. Don't feel bad for doing it. It is your job, right? So yeah, again, that's it. That's the video. Thank you for watching episode 1 of Back to Basics. And comment basics if you're ready for the next part. And don't forget to subscribe if you're interested in watching this series. If you want some mentorship and help improving your notary skills, check out the description and ways that we can connect, and we can do that. Again, thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye!